Who doesn't love thread tying? For many jig makers, myself included, thread tying offers the ultimate in versatility and control for putting a skirt onto a jig. But I get it. There are fellow jig makers among us who would like to make custom skirts for their jigs, but they don't want to invest in a vise and a bobbin. Believe it or not, when I first started making jigs, I was actually that person. I wanted a quick and easy way to attach skirts to a jig without needing to buy a lot of extra equipment. So today, I'm going to show you how I originally tied jigs. Without the use of a bobbin and thread, I'm going to show you how I tie jigs using something you can find at any craft store. Craft wire. So, without further ado, let's get started. So when I wire tie, I start with a 2 to 3 inch piece of wire. Like I said a moment ago, you can get craft wire from virtually any craft store. I got this particular wire from Barlow's Tackle, and for me, I have found it works pretty well. Now we'll place our first layer of silicone on the wire, and on top of that, we'll place our bass jig. And before we start making wraps with the wire, we're going to put our second piece of silicone. Now we're going to slowly bring the material together around the collar of the jig and slowly start making wraps with the wire. These first wraps will be loose, and I'll make 2 to 3 wraps, and then I will move the material around the jig until it's right where I want it. Once this material is in place, then I will start tightening the wire down so that the material is locked onto the jig. And as you can see here, I'm able to tie this jig quite handily just with my hands. You don't need a vise to wire tie jigs. It can come in handy to keep your hands a little bit more free, but it is not necessary. I've tied many jigs just like you see here. Now that the skirt material is pretty much in place, I'm going to take a pair of pliers and really tighten these wire wraps down to lock our material in place. From here, I'm going to, by hand, twist the wire. This is going to lock the wire in further. And believe it or not, this process is very quick to do, usually several seconds on a desktop, and it's done and over with. This is taking me a little bit longer to show you because I'm trying to keep my hands free and clear so you can easily see what I'm doing. So bear with me. It's a little bit longer in this video just so that you see what all is going on. Now, one important question that I'm going to answer while I'm tying this is, why wire tie? Who is it for? Why doesn't everybody tie with thread? And the answers are really pretty simple. I'd say it really depends on your skill level and what you're comfortable with doing. If you were a beginner that is just started tying your own jigs, I 100% recommend tying with wire. It's simple, it's durable, and you don't need any extra equipment like a vise or a bobbin. Like I say, I've made a lot of wire tied jigs, and in my experience, they hold up really well. On the flip side, if you ever want to do more advanced tying, then I would 100% suggest that you learn how to tie with thread. One of the caveats of wire tying is you can't really tie hair and feathers onto a jig. The wire simply does not grip those materials very well. No such problem with thread. It will grip virtually any material, and it will allow you to tie jigs with much greater control. These are the very reasons that I tie with thread now. It offers me a control over my material that I've never had with wire tying. So it depends on what you want to accomplish, your skill level at this point. So either way, wire tying, very dependable. You can't go wrong with it. Now, back to our jig. At this point, our wire collar is finished. I've crimped down the tag end, and I'm just freeing up the silicone skirt tabs so that we can see what our finished jig actually looks like. And once again, here is a close-up of our finished jig. I want to thank you all for coming along with me as I showed how to wire tie a jig. And I hope you found this information useful. If so, please check out more of my content here on the channel, Jig Is Up Lurecraft, or go to jigisuplurecraft.com and check out the free resources that I have listed there. Once again, thanks for watching.